Hello, everyone. Welcome to Empower. And we have a very small group here tonight. I think just about everybody called off except me, Jose, Julia, and John. And Frida's over there running on the cameras. And so, forgiving what you can't forget. So it has been raining for the last couple of hours, so I'm going to assume a lot of folks called off. So, forgiving, or they're not feeling well, or they're struggling with some personal things, or, I mean, I'm not here to heap up a lot of guilt on you. If you didn't read it, well, you just didn't read it. That's okay. So what do we do about that? Because chapters 3 and 4 are really, really good and spoke to my heart. And I really would like you to be able to hear or read what chapter 3 and 4 do. I have listened to chapter 3 and 4 being read to me. Now, some people use Audible, and Audible is a very reliable source of having that text read to you. I am using Speechify, and if you have it on your phone and go to the Play Store or whatever, Apple Store, whatever, depending on your device, go to Speechify and you can download it. Now, you can get the free version, it's not as nice, but the premium version is awesome. It does cost $140 a year, but when you think about how much that is per month, it's worth it every penny. Because you can take anything, any email, any text, anything, any file that you have loaded in your iCloud or whatever, and just put it in there, and you can pick anybody to read it. And the wonderful thing is it reads at any speed you want. So I speed it up and listen to it, because you know what, folks? We can listen faster than we think. We can really retain a lot more than we think when we hear it read fast. So I listened to it, and there's some good information on chapters 3 and 4. I don't want you to give up on this. Please don't, give up, because when you go through these chapters, it's going to speak to you. So there was a part that talked about ruminating over something that's happened, and ruminating over it. Do you know what ruminate means? To go over it over and over and over again, not being able to release it, but to ruminate. And a lot of us have been offended, and we can't let it go. Instead, we don't just look at it, read it, or think about it. We have to review it and ruminate over and over again, and just let it stew and stew and stew, and it just gets worse and worse and stinkier. Anyway, I thought that was pretty cool. So I'd like to, and be honest, did you read chapter 3? Did everybody read chapter 3 and 4?
I already told you I didn't crack my book this week.
So Frida did not?
Nope.
I did not.
Okay.
I came anyways.
Thank you for doing that. I appreciate you coming. John said he didn't do it, but he came anyway. And I hope you get something out of this week for just coming. And I gotta tell you, even as a pastor, reading through this, or listening, if you will, but going through these chapters and going through the workbook, there were some revelations to me about past hurts and things that I've held on to. And this book kind of guides you, and the Spirit of God uses it to dig deeper into things that I didn't think we didn't read. Lots of stuff going on, you just didn't read. Okay, I get it. You just didn't read. Okay, I get it. And yeah, it happens. But let's move on. Let's keep trying. Keep working on it. I think you'll find the value in just staying faithful to it. I don't know that I want to play her video, because the next video covers chapters 5 and 6. It will make more sense to play video 3 once we have gotten to finish chapters 3 and 4, and go to 5 and 6. So I will not be playing her video tonight. It's a good thing because I don't know how I'd get that TV going. Anyway, let's open with a word of prayer. God, I am so thankful for your word. I am so thankful for dear saints that have, even though they've been hurt by the things of life, they've been able to work through it. And they've been able to plot through all the scriptures and guide us through these workbooks. And when the Holy Spirit puts his finger on us and infiltrates our hearts, that we quicken those words and they become life. And God, we need life. We need to be quickened tonight. Some folks, Lord, are dealing with depression. Judy just said goodbye to her little fur baby, Maggie. I know she's hurting. My daughter and her husband just lost Stuart after 15 years, put him down last night. And they're all broken, very brokenhearted, including my grandson Ryan, who's 10 years old and just broken. God, there are people who are broken. I pray, Lord, you would touch them. For those who are sinking into a depression, Lord, I pray you would rise them up out of the miry clay. For those who are, set them on a path again. Renew our hearts, renew our minds, restore our spirits that are spirit into us tonight. It's in your wonderful name, Jesus, we pray all these things. Amen.
Amen.
Well, what I'd like to do we have some folks that have joined us online?
Oh, yeah.
Oh, yeah, okay.
We got Becky, Peggy, and Kathy, that's the ones that I can see. Anybody else, Peter? 'Cause it's
Sarah?
6. Huh?
Sarah?
Hey, Sarah and Kathy, I see Kathy and Peggy.
Is Sarah the
Peggy
only
s-
one that did the assignment?
Peggy says, I read it. But hey, Judy, I see Judy's on. We just prayed. We know that you're hurting right now with Maggie, losing Maggie. So, okay, so here's what I want to do. I'm going to use Speechify, and I'm going to, at this book, and I'm not going to read it to you. Gwyneth Paltrow is. She's going to read it to us in her voice, and I'm going to play some parts, and I'll stop as we go, and we can talk about it. Is everybody good with that? And Peggy, I'm sorry, you read it, and I mean, you're already familiar with it, but I think for the sake of those, there's a lot of people that did not read it. I'm going to go ahead and run chapter 3 anyway, and see how it goes. I guess those are the speakers. And chapter 3 says, and the title is this even survivable? Have you ever been through a hurt that you just felt like you couldn't get through? This was just too much to bear. Forgiveness, she says, is a complicated grace that uncomplicates my blinding pain and helps me see beautiful again. And so, really, take it away.
Scribbled this in my journal, feeling so hopeful that morning with my progress.
Whoa.
I felt light and right.
It helps me see beautiful again. And so, really, take it away.
Scribbled this in my journal, feeling so hopeful that morning with my progress.
Whoa.
Or, part of my story is a severely busted up marriage. The wounds are healing, but there are areas inside of me that are still so raw, so full of freshly exposed nerves, that even the slightest touch can make me react and recoil. Like a tooth that's been broken enough to expose the nerves. Even breathing hurts. Cold liquid that used to be refreshing stabs. Chewing absolutely not possible. And I'm constantly aware of the possibility of intense pain if I don't protect myself. But inevitably, I'll forget. And in an unguarded moment, I'll pay for letting down my defenses. Raw nerves are complicated with teeth and souls, and near to impossible to protect at all times. So, when I got triggered and some raw, unresolved pain got poked, a venomous string of words shot out of my mouth. And in less time than it takes to snap my fingers, I was undone, unwell, unraveled. All the progress I thought I'd made seemed like such a sham. Forgiveness is such a complicated grace, for sure. But how in the world does it uncomplicate my blinding pain so I can see beautiful again? Sometimes words sound so possible until the living of them feels impossible, stupid rhetoric. Except that it wasn't. I wrote it because I had truly experienced it. So, why was I having such a hard time living it in this moment? A maddening heaviness returned, and I felt more betrayed than ever by those who'd hurt me. I wanted to rip those forgiveness words out of my journal while saying things you don't find in the Bible. A scream rushed through the chambers of my heart, and no matter how desperate I was to keep it in, I couldn't. Then I felt the overwhelming desire to slam something. Hard. Really, really hard. The front door seemed like the most obvious choice. I jerked it open and slammed it shut while screaming, while flailing my arms. I just gave way to it all. I held nothing back, until I saw movement through the glass of the door that somehow miraculously didn't shatter in my slamming and slamming again tirade. A delivery gal was standing on the front steps of my house watching it all. She was on the outside staring in, trying to hand me a package, but shrinking back with each crazed swing. I was on the inside staring out. I felt stunned that my private tirade wasn't so private, and it was clear neither of us knew what to do. Eventually, she just set the package on my front steps and walked away. I wanted to follow after her, explain, apologize, offer her a cookie, something. But who wants to eat a cookie made by a woman flailing about? Instead, I just watched her climb into the truck and drive away. I wish. I could say I turned it all around after that. I didn't. I let the triggered emotion settle in and become a bad mood for the rest of the day. And all the people around me who didn't deserve to catch the brunt of my chaos felt the completely unsettled state of my heart. Now I wasn't just the one who was hurt. Now I was the one causing hurt in others. And that's what left me seething with the most painful of all lies hooked into my soul. They did this to me. They made me feel this way. They made me act this way. They have written into my life a script of horrific sorrow from which I'll never escape, never truly heal from, and can't ever possibly forgive. When you've been deeply wounded by another person, it's only natural to be shocked by their utter lack of humanity. It's understandable to wish your life would have never, ever intersected with theirs. To assume the hell you are now forced to live with is absolutely directly connected to a choice they made that can never be unmade. To feel haunted by a shadow version of the offender who caused this, and to almost feel like they are following you around while you replay their cruel act in your mind over and over and over. To feel forever changed in ways you don't want to be. Had they never made the choices they made, then surely you wouldn't be here. I wouldn't be here, like this, flailing, screaming, scaring the delivery girl, and wondering, is this even survivable? I pulled my journal back out. I didn't rip out the forgiveness quote I'd written. Instead, I wrote a narrative to negate it. It's all so cruel and seemingly impossible to get over. I've read the Bible verses. I know God's instruction by heart. Forgive, delivery girl. Instead, I wrote a narrative to negate it. Forgiveness kept finding its way back to me. And I guess the fact that this book has made it into your hands, and you've made it this far, is evidence that this message wanted to find you too. Let me empower you before I implore you to keep reading. I'm not asking you to sign up for forgiveness. Not yet. I couldn't start there, so I won't ask you to either. All I'm asking is that you'd be willing to consider taking power away from the person who hurt you. I can't take away your hurt, but I can help you remove the unfair hold the hurt has on you. Those who injured you are the last people in the world to whom you want to hand over the controls of your life, so that's where we will start. Unresolved pain triggers, I couldn't start there, so I walked out. Chaos is what will continue to play out.
Let me stop there, and it says, let me say that again, regardless. If healing hasn't been worked out and forgiveness hasn't been walked out, chaos is what will continue to play out. I think we all need to underline that because it is so true. How many of you have triggers? Does everybody know what triggers? And have those triggers that hit you and they just like make you just want to, maybe not slam the door but do something and you get very angry. Maybe your hurt hasn't hooked you with chaotic emotions. Maybe it plays out in numbing escapes like porn or pills or pretending to be perfect or playing games with that person secretly communicating with you through Facebook. Maybe it's lingering about in your liquor, filling other people with all kinds of negativity. And maybe it's poking around through pouting. Maybe it's just hiding behind things that aren't as easy to attach to unforgiveness. But pain projects, hurt haunts, seething never sits still, and something is there creeping up and playing out. Boy, does she know about unforgiveness. Does she know about hurt? Deep hurt. Hers was the husband that I think had an affair on her, I think that's what happened, and wanted to divorce her. That's painful, I know. But when you're cheated on, or when you feel like somebody's betrayed your trust, it's very hard. And that was her pain, and that was her unforgiveness. We all have it. Please know I haven't been peeking in your window, spying, or waiting to out what's happening. I'm outing myself, she says. Not all these issues are my issues, but even just a few are enough to say enough. And I confess, feelings of I'm outing myself, she says. Control us. That person or people who hurt you, who hurt me, they've caused enough pain. There's been enough damage done. So what do I do with my pain? I acknowledge it. And what do I need to do with the feelings resulting from this pain? Own them as mine to control. Yes, the hurt was caused by someone else, but the resulting feelings are mine to manage. And I can't manage feelings I don't own. This is very good truth. This is a beginning of hurt that we get in our lives, and being able to take power over it and try to manage it. I can't wait for another person to do something to make me feel better about the situation. If I need another person to make things right before I move toward change, I might stay unhealed for a very, very long time. I will paralyze my progress, waiting for something that may or may not ever happen. I want you to stop here and stop and think about what is it that hurts? What is it that you picked up this Bible study, you picked up this book for a reason. There was something that urged you, something that caused you to feel compelled to pick this book up. I don't know what it is. I don't need to know what it is, but you know what it is. And there is something that paralyzes your progress, and you're just thinking that it's going to be resolved. You're thinking that someone's going to come running and fix it all and ask forgiveness and all that, and they may. But then what if it isn't? The trick is that even if they don't, it's us that need to manage how it's affecting us so that it doesn't control us. There is a cause and effect here. That person who hurt me may be the cause of the pain, but they are not capable of being the healer of my pain or the restorer of my life. This is where my healing fell apart time and time again. Blame hands the power to change over to the person who hurt me. Blame hands the power to change over to the person who hurt me. It says, as long as they refuse to acknowledge what they've done wrong, I feel powerless to change. Or even if they do acknowledge what they did as wrong, if the wrong isn't made right, life will forever feel different, which also makes me feel powerless to change. And then underneath it, she says, if healing hasn't been worked out, if forgiveness hasn't been walked out, chaos will continue to play out. So I'll go ahead back here and let her read for a while. I just wanted, because some of this is so important. Here she goes.
So might you dare to whisper along with me. Today is the day it stops. Say it with me. Today is my day to stop the grim, hopeless pursuit of expecting the other person to make this right, so that I can receive the glorious hope, filled possibilities of this new day.
All right, let's all say it. Do you have it in your book? Do you know where I am? Where she is?
Top of page 42.
Page 42, is that where it is? I don't.
Yes.
Okay. So, say it with me. Today is my day to stop the grim, hopeless pursuit of expecting the other person to make this right so that I can receive the glorious, hope-filled possibilities of this new day. Today is my day to stop the grim, hopeless pursuit. So the chances are that we go through this book and this Bible study, we go through this whole thing and never get the expectation of that person making it right. The chances are, I mean, they could, and that'll be a good thing, but don't expect it, and maybe that we go through the whole book and it never happens. What's more important is what happens in your heart, in our hearts. Okay, I'm sorry. Gwyneth, I'm sorry, I'm gonna put you back.
Hopeless pursuits are where so many get stuck, stay angry, and void peace right out of their lives. But hope, filled possibilities, that's where the process of seeing that healing is possible begins. What we look for is what we will see. What we see determines our perspective, and our perspective becomes our reality. I want my reality to stop being defined by the hopeless pursuit of rewriting yesterday. I want to accept what happened without letting it steal all my future possibilities and learn to move on. Remember those markings of time? BC, before crisis. Add, after devastation. Well, there's a third line I've discovered. It's RH, resurrected hope. Honestly, I wish that's the way the history of time would be marked. After all, that's such a truer reflection of where we are all living, not 2020 after Christ's death. The reality is that Jesus' death only lasted 3 days, but his resurrected hope has carried us into the future. The possibility of hope is what I want to look for, so that hope is what I will see. And when I start to notice it, that noticing has a multiplying effect. Have you ever decided you liked a certain kind of car, and though you haven't noticed it very much before, the next time you're out driving, you look for it. And when you look for it, that same car seems to be everywhere. You see 2 in your neighborhood, another at the stoplight beside you, and then several more when you pull into the parking lot of where you're going. How can it be that you never noticed it, and then suddenly this car seems to be everywhere? It's not that those cars just appeared on that day. Chances are they've been zipping around you for quite a while. But if you aren't looking for them, you probably aren't noticing them. What we look for is what we will see. What we see determines our perspective, and our perspective becomes our reality. That's the multiplying effect of making the choice to look for something. You'll start to see it more and more. In the case of hope, the more you see evidence of it, the more assured you'll be that it's there. When you are assured it's there, a new perspective forms. And even better, this new perspective becomes a new reality. So, where do we begin? After all, seeing hope is not quite as defined as seeing a red car or a white SUV. The best place to begin looking for something is to go back to where it was lost. I can't say I completely lost my hope, but I can identify where my hope got diminished. It's where I stopped seeing what truly is beautiful about life, love, and leaning into God. So let's go back to the place I was in when this message found me. It's where forgiveness still felt cruel. It's where I stopped seeing beautiful. Chapter 4.
Okay.
How is
Did anyone have comments so far about this? Is Gwyneth reading fast enough for everybody? Okay. Let me see. I can hear good evening, hey, to everyone. Okay, I'm just looking, let's see, what is that? Sarah said she read the chapter. Good for you, Sarah, she read chapters 3 and 4. We're gonna go through the, is Tony on? Is Tony here?
Yeah.
Okay. Your turn, yeah, your turn, okay. All the way from Mexico, okay. What's I gonna say? We're gonna go through the workbook questions as soon as we get through chapter 4, then I wanna go through and walk through these questions. So, once again, 5, and I think it's 5, 6, and 7 is what she wants us to read for next week. So we have a lot of reading, I know. And so, let's go ahead and keep, do you wanna be changed voices? Do you wanna hear a man's voice?
Do you have Morgan Freeman, James Earl Jones?
No, I don't, let me see.
They're good.
They're good. I don't see.
Jack Benny?
Jack Benny, I haven't heard that name in forever.
Tom Hanks.
I like Tom Hanks.
Yeah, he's a good reader. Forrest Gump version? No.
Oh, now I've gotten into it. Mind
That
your
would be
face.
nice.
Yes, Snoop Dogg.
Greetings, I'm Henry, here to help you make the most of your day.
Okay, thank you, Henry, but, okay, let's go back. We can go back to chapter 4, and let's have it read chapter 4, and we'll kind of walk through that. So follow along, if you have your book, we're on chapter 4, grab your book and just follow along, please.
Possible when I feel like this. I walked into my appointment with my counselor, Jim, wishing I'd canceled. But this wasn't a typical hour-long appointment. It was an all-today intensive too costly to blow off. I hadn't been sleeping well, my eyes were puffy, and I couldn't remember for the life of me if I'd put deodorant on. Awesome. I wondered if the peach air freshener I'd seen before in the office bathroom could work in a pinch. I made a mental note to try it during our next bathroom break. I felt utterly unmotivated to talk and overly motivated to cry. My hair was heavy with dry shampoo and tangled from a lack of proper brushing. I tried to no avail to smooth it down with my hands before twisting it up haphazardly in a top knot, fully aware I should have washed it 2 days ago. But who has that kind of energy when life feels suddenly emptied out in the most unfair of ways? Empty has a heaviness to it that doesn't exactly motivate one to care what they look like. Jim, I don't know how to forgive this. He isn't sorry for what happened. Neither are some of the other people involved in this situation who also hurt me. They don't think they did anything wrong. They have no feelings around this at all. They are off just enjoying the mess out of life. And here I am sitting in a counselor's office so full of hurt feelings that I wonder if it's possible for me to drown in my own tears. How?
Oh.
Can I possibly work on forgiveness when not 1 ounce of me feels like forgiving? I don't want to do this. I may be a total wreck right now, but one thing I'm not is fake. I fully expected him to recognize that it clearly wasn't time for me to work on forgiveness, and that we needed to switch the day's focus. There were plenty of other things I could clearly benefit from tackling. Personal hygiene, for example, might be an obvious choice. I don't remember what Jim said to all of my resistance. I just remember we stayed the course, and what I learned about forgiveness that day changed my life. Jim didn't seem a bit concerned that I didn't have the desire to forgive, or that my feelings weren't cooperating. It almost seemed like the intensity of my resistance made doing this exercise on this day more appropriate in his estimation, not less. That confused me. I certainly didn't want to add forgiveness failure on top of everything else I was beating myself up about in this season. It was definitely time to go find that peach air freshener. When I returned, smelling like a freshly baked cobbler, Jim handed me a stack of 3x5 cards. Lisa, do you have the desire to heal from? I nodded my head yes. I did want to heal. I did want to start making my way out of this pit where everything felt dark and confusing and hopeless. But I thought in order to start healing, I needed to feel better than I did about my circumstances and about the people involved. At that point, so much felt unsettled in many of my relationships. When a person's life explodes, people around them have different reactions. You see the very best forms of compassion in most people, but not in everyone. I hadn't just lost what I thought was true in my marriage. I was also trying to navigate the shock of all the unpredictable ways people had reacted to what happened. I knew it would take me years to sort through the fallout. But by far, the most complicated reality at that time was that I hadn't seen Art in months. We were separated, and there were layers of complicated realities that prevented us from being able to sit down together and process what happened. How could I possibly start healing when there was no resolution or restitution or reconciliation with Art or the others who hurt me? I thought everything needed to be settled. I thought those who did wrong things would first realize they were wrong, or at least some kind of justice would tilt my upside down world back in place. And something about this would feel fair. Then I would consider forgiveness, and then I could possibly heal.
Wow.
But as my counselor kept talking, I started to realize I might never feel like things were fair. Even if every best-case scenario played out with the people who hurt me suddenly being utterly repentant and owning every bit of all they'd done, that wouldn't undo what happened. That wouldn't erase the damage. That wouldn't take away the memories. That wouldn't instantly heal me or make any of this feel right. And chances were, most of the big situations where I got hurt were not going to play out in best-case scenarios. Big conflicts are rarely that tidy. Therefore, I had to separate my healing from their choices. My ability to heal cannot depend on anyone's choices but my own. I remember exactly where I was standing when I finally realized what my counselor Jim had been trying to teach me about separating my healing from others' choices. I was in Israel. It was a hot day. I wanted the guy to hurry up and finish what he was saying so we could go somewhere cooler. But then he said something that jolted me. Jesus didn't perform very many healing miracles in Jerusalem, or at least not ones that were recorded. My whole life when I read about the miracles of Jesus, I imagine most of them occurring in and around the city of Jerusalem. I'd been to the Holy Land to study the Bible many times, but it wasn't until my 8th trip that the guide pointed this out.
I didn't realize that. So, is there trouble with the sound, Frida? So-
It's working on what I hear, so.
So Peggy says I have sound on other things, but not this. Interesting. Anyone else on watching online? Can you just shoot a little thing and say, do you hear? So Peggy says she's lost sound. Is anybody else, have they lost sound?
I have sound on my earbud, so,
Do you?
yeah, from my phone.
Okay. Well, I think Peggy's the one that's saying, I wonder what happened. Unless she went to Bluetooth and switched to Bluetooth or something. Okay. Everybody okay? And we'll keep on. All right, here we go.
If you're reading the book of John, there are only 2 recorded healing miracles of Jesus performed in Jerusalem. One was the healing of the lame man at the pool of Bethesda, recorded in John 5. The other was the healing of the blind man at the pool of Siloam in John 9. In both cases, their healing came after a choice they made to obey the Lord, a choice not dependent on anyone else's actions. At first, the lame man thought he needed the cooperation of other people to help him get to the water when the angel stirred it, according to the superstition believed by many. So, when Jesus asked him, "Do you want to be healed?" the lame man's response wasn't yes. Instead, he gave Jesus an excuse based on the fact that no one would help him get to the water. Isn't it amazing that the man was so focused on what others needed to do that he almost missed what Jesus could do? This challenges me on so many levels. I haven't been paralyzed like this man, but I very much know what it feels like to be unable to move forward without other people cooperating like I think they should cooperate. Jesus, however, never commented about the people on whom the paralyzed man seemed so fixated. Jesus simply instructed him to get up, pick up his bed, also called a mat, and walk. The Bible then says, and at once the man was healed, and he took up his bed and walked, John 5:9 ESV. The healing didn't involve anyone but the paralyzed man, and Jesus, the other miracle with the blind man, is found in John 9. We don't read much regarding the blind man's thoughts about others around him, but we do read that the disciples very much wanted to know whose actions caused the blindness. Someone needed to be blamed. Someone was at fault. Jesus blew that assumption apart. He didn't place blame or shame on anyone. He said this man's blindness happened so that the works of God might be displayed in him. John 9:3. Jesus then spat onto the ground, mixed up some mud, and rubbed it onto the blind man's eyes, instructing him to go and wash in the pool of Siloam. Jesus had compassion. Jesus had the power. Jesus didn't make healing contingent on other people doing or owning anything. Jesus gave the instruction, the blind man obeyed. Jesus healed. The blind man moved forward. Standing in Jerusalem that day, my guide continued, in the Gospel of John, there were only 2 recorded healing miracles of Jesus in Jerusalem. One showed us a new way to walk. The other showed us a new way to see. I'm not sure of all the nuances he intended with that statement, but for me, I couldn't grab my journal to record this revelation fast enough. And I wrote, for me to move forward, for me to see beyond this current darkness, is between me and the Lord. I don't need to wait on others to do anything or place blame or shame that won't do anyone any good. I simply must obey whatever God is asking of me right now. God has given me a new way to walk, And God has given me a new way to see. It's forgiveness, and it is beautiful. I have to place my healing in the...
I like that, did everybody hear that? For me to move forward, or for me to see beyond this current darkness, is between me and the Lord. I don't need to wait on others to do anything, or place blame or shame that won't do anyone any good. Just obey whatever God is asking me of right now. God has given me a new way to walk and a new way to see. It's forgiveness, and it's beautiful. I have to place my healing in the Lord's hands. I need to focus on what I can do to step toward Him in obedience, and forgiveness is what He's asking of me. I must separate my healing from others' repentance or lack thereof. My ability to heal cannot be conditional on them wanting my forgiveness, but only on my willingness to give it. And I have to separate my healing from any of this being fair. My ability to heal cannot be conditional on the other person receiving adequate consequences for their disobedience, but only on my obedience to trust God's justice, whether I ever see it or not. My healing, my choice. I can heal, I can forgive, I can trust God, and none of those beautiful realities are held hostage by another person. Healing, it's going to take time, but I must move forward. Is that right? I must move forward toward it if I ever hope to get there. And forgiveness is a good step in the right direction, not just good, but necessary. And when we don't move forward, when we get stuck in our hurt, unable to escape the grip of that threatening pain, trauma takes root. And when we keep reliving what happened in our mind over and over, we keep experiencing that trauma as if it's happening in the present time. Time comes to a screeching halt. Our hearts race with wildly unpredictable and terrifyingly uncontrollable pulses. And our brains keep sounding internal alarms that we are no longer safe. This is helpful for a time as we need to get ourselves out of immediate danger, but remaining in this mode long term is not healthy. We need to eventually move toward a state of healing, of rest. We need to eventually get to the place where we stop replaying over and over what hurt us. Brain and body are programmed to run for home, where safety can be restored and stress hormones can come to rest. Moving forward is not just a good theory. Moving forward is crucial. I read that line in the quote above over and over. Brain and body are programmed to run for home. Home. I am programmed to run for home. Hebrews 13 says it this way. For the world, this world is not our permanent home. We are looking forward to a home yet to come. Therefore, let us offer through Jesus a continual sacrifice of praise to God, proclaiming our allegiance to His name. And don't forget to do good and to share with those in need. These are the sacrifices that please God. Now may the God of peace, who brought up from the dead our Lord Jesus, the great shepherd of the sheep, and ratified an eternal covenant with His blood, may He equip you with all need for doing His will. May He produce in you through the power of Jesus Christ every good thing that is pleasing to Him. I'm going back to him reading.
Lord's hands. I need to focus on what I can do to step toward Him in obedience.
Hold on, buddy. Hold on. There. You can read. You can do it. I will start reading. While I can look forward to eternity one day, I don't have to wait to live out my heavenly citizenship. I can bring heaven to earth today by living in such a forgiving way that my choices line up with God. Think about the Lord's Prayer. God's will be done on earth as it is in heaven. My heart is most at home in the safety of God's truth. Like the verse from Hebrews says, He will equip me with all I need to do this. He will empower me to do what he instructs. And so I run toward the forgiveness God commands, and only then will I find the healing peace he offers. Refusing to forgive is refusing the peace of God. I was tired of refusing peace. She took the 3x5 cards. I'm not going to read all this. She took the 3x5 cards, which I brought.
Yeah,
Right here.
on the front.
Which I brought. I'm sorry that you are watching us online are not able to participate like we are here. I brought plenty of cards. But I'd like to pass around these cards to everybody here. Take one card. Can you get that to John? Or Julia, here's one card, and John. So, this one. Do y'all need more? Do you need 4 or 5 cards? One card.
That's a couple long.
Oh, I could have come got that. I was trying to read this. Is that Peggy that logged in on YouTube and has sound?
I don't know. I didn't.
It
read.
says Christ Promise, so I wasn't sure if that was Peggy.
Okay. Sarah says it's easier to hear the guy reading. Okay. Well, sorry, but the guy's not reading right now. He won't read. What? Yes.
I thought it was kind of cool that the story is about the same-sex couple of Art and Lisa who are having a problem in their marriage. Because as the guy was reading, it could have been the same instance as if it was 2 men in that marriage.
Absolutely. It could have been either.
So by listening to that, the marriage and everything, you were listening to a gay couple that were experiencing the same problem.
Same problem. It could have either one. I mean, there are so many estranged instances, and I know some of the people watching online. I don't know their deep dark secrets, but I'm just saying that I know that some people, what they're dealing with, and it isn't necessarily a betrayal by a spouse or a partner, but it's a betrayal, or it's a hurt that should have never happened. And sometimes the hurt is not necessarily something current. I mean, hurt that I was dealing with was something I thought I had let go a long time ago. Many of you know that I struggled with, and I'll share this real quick before we move on. I struggled with my speech. I did have a battle with this. And I did get put into a special needs class for a while. And I did eat animal crackers and watch cartoons because they thought that I was not able to learn. And then I went to it doesn't matter, I ended up in the right kind of class. I think that was in 6th or 7th grade. I was constantly told I was dumb. And to the point as a child, when you're told you're dumb, that you're not smart, you believe it. You're stupid. You cannot learn. And I was made fun of quite often. And I was a little awkward. I walked funny, looked funny, acted funny. So, yeah, I didn't have any good merits for sure. And my siblings, no offense, Sarah,